Yeah, so as for the quarter system, we have a pretty similar quarter system to schools like Northwestern and Stanford. So we have 3 quarters in a year. I mean, there are 4 quarters, but 3 quarters are like mandatory in terms of being there. So you have autumn quarter, which is from October to December. Then you have a winter quarter from January to March, and then you have spring quarter from uh, end March, April to June. So you will be there for 3 quarters, and then you have like an optional summer quarter where you can take extra classes. So, and each quarter is 10 weeks, which actually they've announced now that from next year or from 2021 fall, they'll actually be changing around their schedule a bit. So they'll instead of 10 weeks, the quarters will be 9 weeks, and it'll get over like by the starting of June. So that's going to change from the year after this one. Uh, So yeah, so the quarter system also means that you're going to be taking 3 terms of classes every year instead of two, as it is in most places, and it is pretty fast paced. 10 weeks, and it's all like you finish an entire class with midterms and finals all in 10 weeks. Uh, but I guess the one thing that uh, gives you some kind of room is that you don't take as many classes as you would in a semester and like per quarter. You would take generally you take about 4 classes, but you can overload and take five, but you don't take more than that as people in semester schools might. But yeah, so as for Uchicago's pace and rigor, it definitely is because of the quarter system and because of how their academics generally works. It's pretty fast. It feels like quarters go by without you realizing it. But I think it's not structured in a way that it becomes unmanageable or impossible to do as unlike what some people think. And it's not something I would particularly be concerned about or scared of, but it is definitely pretty quick.
Sure. So it definitely seems that you end up doing a lot more and a lot quicker. In a way, you also get a sense of what you like, what you don't like academically.
Mhm.
Sort of you make those decisions, many
Yeah.
more such decisions in a year. So when you started making those choices, I know you're headed towards thinking of math, declaring math as a
Mhm.
major, and you've done enough economics to even
Yeah.
consider that. But did you go and decided? What are the interesting
Mhm.
classes you took which steered you in a certain direction?
Mhm. So for me, actually, I went in thinking completely different. Like when I was applying, I was thinking of doing something like in the area of political science or policy, and I always was interested in math, so I wanted to do it in some way. But I was kind of very interested in those things as well, and I still am interested, but I don't think I want to kind of pursue it as a major now. Uh, what changed my mind, I guess, was that so I think one good thing that U Chicago has, I'm not sure, like I'm sure other schools has it as well, but I'm not sure exactly in what way. But one good thing that they have is that for the introductory kind of requirement classes, they have different like levels of different classes. You can still take uh, some pretty challenging and rewarding classes in things like calculus, uh, which kind of give you more of an insight into how math academically works. So I took this class first year. This was this like year-long sequence called honors calculus. So uh, that was kind of a more theoretical and higher level version of the regular calculus classes that the first year would take. And the purpose of that class was kind of to bridge the gap between like high school math and college math, and it went really deep into math because it went into like a lot of uh, a lot of things I did second year as well, and a lot of things people do second, third, fourth years. Uh, Students already get exposure to that first year as part of the sequence. A lot of really theoretical stuff, a lot of kind of researchy stuff in math. Uh, and for me, the turning point was this class because I was always, as I said, I was always interested in math, but I never knew whether I wanted to study it properly in college or not. But this class kind of made me sure that I wanted to study it because I really found the kind of theoretical stuff and the more higher level stuff very interesting.
Sure. So you ended up doing that for the full year. And then
Mhm.
in your second year, how does that build up on? Like, what are the different math courses did
Mhm.
you take? And do you see some applied sort of
Mhm.
work coming through? Because I remember during high school you were interested in data analytics and
Yeah, yeah.
combining political science and political
Hmm.
data and analyzing it for academic research at that level.
Hmm.
So, did you find a way to think of math in terms of applications also?
So I would kind of separate like math and application. So if you go into like a math major in college, then as part of that major, you won't be seeing any applications, or you won't be working with things like data and such. But uh, the math major, like I think at any school or in any system, will give you a lot of room to do other things with it. So a lot of people I know who study math, they're doing like CS with it, they're doing econ with it, like I am as well. They're doing statistics with it. So there are very few people who are, or not very few, but there are relatively few people who are just studying pure math and nothing else because uh, most people aren't sure about the extent to which they want to go into pure math and whether they want to stay in it after college as well. There are some people who are very sure about wanting to go into like grad school for math, doing PhD in math, and then just like entering academia for pure math. So those people typically just stay with the pure math classes, but most people I would say have something else, something more applied that they're studying with pure math. But as part of the pure math program itself, there's not much.
Got it.
The program itself won't introduce you to applied things, but uh, they know that students often want to study other things with it, and there's a
So,
lot
what are
of.
the topics you ended up doing in the second year in math?
Mhm. So math majors generally works. So first year you will be doing calculus, you'll be doing possibly linear algebra first year, and but the good thing for me was that they introduced this honors calculus sequence, which is it's not really calculus. I mean, it's more like analysis, which is what you do second year. It's like an introduction to that. So first year is typically calculus, linear algebra. Second year, you will probably do something like real analysis, which is, I guess, one of the more well-known and notorious kind of classes that every math major will do basically everywhere in the world. Then you'll have some, I think, second or third year again, you'll do some kind of abstract algebra. And beyond that, you'll do things like topology and geometry, but those are generally more structured through electives and all. But the requirements generally like calculus and algebra,
Got it.
analysis, and abstract algebra.
Super. So you mentioned that you kind of considering the econ sort of track as well.
Hmm.
Uh, so typically, where do you see a cusp between econ and math, and what did your interests sort of shape up?
Mhm. So I think at least at Uchicago, there are like I think they offer four different tracks in econ. So they offer one or like two regular tracks, and there are some minor differences, but two regular academic economics tracks. They have one that's more kind of geared towards business and people who want to possibly go into business or finance or like business school after college. And there's one that they introduced, I think, just a couple years ago, which is economics with the specialization in data science, which is also what people who really want to go into data science uh, might want to kind of check out. But as for me, as of now, like I'm not sure, but I think one possibility for me after graduating is to uh, do a PhD in economics, which is something I've always been thinking about. I'm still not sure about it, but that's one thing I'm seriously considering. And if you want to go into graduate level work in economics, then having a lot of background with pure math is very important. So I think that's the number one case in which you would want to study a lot of pure math. And people, in fact, like people say that if you want to go into grad school in economics, studying economics as an undergrad isn't even that important. What's more important is studying a lot of math and statistics and getting that kind of theoretical grasp on these things because a graduate level work in economics really turns a lot on this kind of knowledge. And I mean, that's not the reason that I took up pure math. I was very interested in that too. Uh, but it aligns well with what I want to do after
Very
college.